does sometimes take its toll and make it difficult as well on my relationship with my mum, as we're constantly talking about dancing, how I cope with good and bad results. So a lot of it's to do with when I achieve a good result, I am on such a high and I feel so good. I also feel that teen dancing's helped me and given me more opportunities with non-competitive performances, sometimes from people in the dancing world who think that just because mum is my dancing teacher, I'm expected to be good and expected to just do well because of that. If being in lockdown taught me anything, it was definitely that. Hi everyone, my name is Dara McAleer. I'm 23 years old and I'm from Perth, Western Australia. In my episode of Journey to the Stage, I'll be talking about how I stay motivated when working my way to the top, some of the sacrifices that I've made along the way, my experiences living and training in America, and how I manage my relationship with my mum, who is also my dancing teacher. I hope you enjoy my journey to the stage. So I began dancing at the age of 5 under my mum and Uncle John, who at the time owned Skull Rink and Acadia here in Perth. A lot of my aunties and uncles and cousins also used to dance, and some of them still do, and a lot of my younger cousins have started dancing recently, which I absolutely love. So as well as that, my 2 sisters also dance, Quiva and Leisha, and my brother did dance when he was younger. He tried it for a couple of years, but it's not something he was into, so it's definitely something I was born into and is part of the family. Since then, we have changed the school name to Kitty Upton. So that was when my other dancing teacher, Lara Upton, who's now Lara Donnellan, and my auntie Dana passed their TCRG exam and started teaching with my mum and uncle. A few years after that, in 2009, we were privileged to start our relationship with Edward and Byron, who own the Academy Irish Dance Company, who at the time were in Birmingham in England, but are now in Ohio in mid-America. And we started getting workshops from them multiple times a year, which has led to the sister school we are now, which is the Academy Irish Dance Company, Mid-America and Perth. Over the years, I've had a number of opportunities to travel around Australia and around the world to perform and compete, which I'm so grateful for. In terms of results, around WA, I won my first state championship when I was 7, and since then I've won 12 more. And then in terms of Australia, I've won the national championships 5 times, and I've placed in the top 10 every year except for one, which was the year before I won for the first time. So that was 2009, so which was quite a long way into my dancing career, and I placed 10th that year. So I think that leads to my first question, which is, you have been at the top from a very young age. What are the struggles you've encountered in staying up there over a long period of time? So what I would say about that is similar to how I would answer a lot of questions I get about what it's like to have mum as my dancing teacher. And a lot of it comes down to pressure, but more so not pressure from mum, but the pressure I put on myself to do well and achieve what I set my mind to. So I've never consistently won every competition, or I've never consistently had good results ever at any point in my dancing career. So I think that's what's shaped me into the dancer I am today, and how I cope with good and bad results. So I think a lot of it's to do with when I achieve a good result, I am on such a high and I feel so good that when I come back to class and training, I forget how hard I had to work to get to that winning point, and that's until I achieve another disappointing result, and then it just makes me work that much harder to achieve a good result again. So I think I've finally got to a point now where I've broken that kind of vicious cycle, and that's since I've finished school and focused more on dancing and realised that that's happened. So I still haven't achieved amazing results every year. Like, it's been a roller coaster, but I've definitely learned from those disappointing results or not achieving the goal I set myself for those competitions. Another challenge that comes with doing well is the pressure to stay there, and I think it's important to say that even though Mum's my dancing teacher, I've never felt pressure from her to achieve a certain result, but more to work hard towards what I know I'm capable of doing. But in terms of pressure, I do feel it sometimes from people in the dancing world who think that just because Mum is my dancing teacher, I'm expected to be good and expected to just do well because of that, which definitely isn't the case. I have to work hard just like everybody else does, and if anything, I think sometimes I or we, as in a lot of other dancing teachers' kids, have to sacrifice even more as we try to live up to those expectations. It's also difficult sometimes because dancing isn't just going to dancing and coming home like it is for a lot of other people. It's our life, so we live and breathe it. When we come home from dancing, it doesn't stop, and I'm completely fine with that, and that's the life we've chosen, but it does sometimes take its toll and make it difficult as well on my relationship with my mum, as we're constantly talking about dancing, and we do argue about it sometimes, but we've definitely found ways to overcome it. And one of those ways is also a plus side to having such a big, tight-knit school, both here in America, and that is the opportunity I had to be taught by my other teachers who aren't obviously my mum or my auntie and uncles. So for example, on a Monday, my other dancing teacher, Lara, runs classes about 40 minutes from us, so I go and do her classes, and I absolutely love that. So she's tough just like Mum and is also like family to me, but it's a different face, and I think, not saying that I work hard or not hard for certain people, but I think just like with anything, you get familiar with working a certain way for one person, and a change of face definitely makes me work harder or differently than I would, for example, for Mum. This is also the reason why I started going to America in the first place, to train with Ed and Byron before the Worlds, which is something I've been doing for about 5 or 6 years now. So when I was in year 12, which was my final year of high school, I was offered this opportunity to go to America to train, which is something that I had dreamed of doing since we began our school's relationship with the academy. But at the time, I knew that if I didn't finish school and my final exams, that it'd be hard to get into university. And I did like school, so it's not that I was just doing it for the sake of it. So I ended up passing all 6 of my final year 12 exams whilst staying dancing, and I did get into uni, and for the next 2 years after that, I completed my first year of exercise sports and rehab science. But I started to realise that my time dancing was getting shorter and shorter, so I knew that if I didn't take the opportunity to go overseas to train then, that it would never happen. So I deferred uni and have since dropped out because you can only defer a certain number of times. But I'm so glad that I did, and grateful for the opportunity, because in these past 6 years that I've been going to America, I've achieved the best results internationally that I ever have. I've won the North American Nationals, placed in the top 10 at the All Islands twice, and I've won 7 solo world medals and 4 team world titles at the World Championships, with my most recent and best result being second at last year's World Championships in Greensboro.
57.5 points, competitor 1, 3, 969.5 points, competitor 1, 2, 4,
something I never thought I would achieve in my entire dancing career. It's always been my goal to place on the podium since I was little and started competing at the Worlds, and I have placed 6th twice, which was absolutely incredible. Like, when I achieved that the first time, I just was over the moon. And then when I got 6th the second time, obviously I was so happy, but it's like what I was saying earlier about the frustration of being so close yet so far for a second time. That drove me to work that much harder to get on the podium the following year. It was more than just getting on the podium, it just made all the years of hard work and the sacrifices and going away to train so worth it. And it was just so surreal at the time, to the point where there's parts that like I actually don't remember. Like when they were calling the results out and all the marks were coming on the board, I remember it got to like 5th and it wasn't me, and from there until I got called out, I think I barely remember anything. It was just crazy. It was just incredible to be able to give back to my teachers in that way, to show them that all the time and effort that they'd put into me for all these years, not even just up until that point, but to make all of that worth it. And it was just as much a part of why it meant so much to me as actually receiving the globe and that title. So training in America definitely paid off, and I don't plan on being done yet. But being over there allows me to train in their competitive season when it's our off season here in Perth. So when I go over there, it's their winter, so in January, February, March. Whereas over here it's like the peak of our summer, so it's really hot, and it is hard to train here in the heat in the lead up to the World, so that is one part of it. So as well as that, in Perth we're the most isolated capital city in the world, so we don't have access to regular competitions and a change of like group of competitors for the full year. I especially love that when I get to go to America, I have the opportunity to compete in different cities every weekend. And also get to see all these places that I never thought I would get to see. So obviously moving countries for 3 months, and in the last few years 6 months every year, isn't easy, and it definitely has had its challenges, like being away from my family, not being able to work, and learning how to deal with challenges on my own and travel on my own. But I would not trade any of that for what I've gained from it. So I've made friendships that I know will last a lifetime. It's taught me how to be strong, work hard for what I want to achieve, and be in that kind of competitive environment with people working towards similar goals and who have the same drive and motivation to achieve them. So as well as solos, I've been in a number of teams right from I started dancing. But in the last 10 years, I've also had the chance to be a part of a lot of own choreography 2 hands, 4 hands and figure teams. So learning how to dance in a figure for the first time was definitely a challenge, and something that I will never forget, because I think it looks so much easier than it actually is. I love figures and I absolutely love teams, and I was so lucky to be a part of a number of winning teams for the Academy over the last few years, both in Australia and in America at the Worlds. Team dancing definitely brings with it a whole new set of challenges when it comes to training, especially in the lead up to majors. So it's managing the stress of not only yourself but everyone else in the team. It's longer training hours, trying to keep everybody motivated so that you can work together to achieve the team's goal, as well as balancing your mental energy between solos and teams. But I definitely think that it's, well, in the years that I have done teams, that I've done better in solos, because I've had to split my time wisely so that I can fit everything in, and I definitely do get more done that way than if I have all the time in the world. Like, say I was just focusing on solos, I do my solo class and go home, whereas when I'm doing teams, I have my solo class, my team class, and then all the extra practices and rehearsals on stage that come with it. I also feel that team dancing's helped me and given me more opportunities with non-competitive performances. So for example, I was able to use my knowledge of moving my arms whilst dancing, which is something that doesn't obviously come naturally to Irish dancers, and put it into practice in A Taste of Ireland's Christmas show in December. I was able to go into the rehearsals for the show knowing that I could work well as a team and take criticism for things that I was doing wrong to improve, and also push past the frustrations that I may not have been able to do previously without having the experience of working with a new and very different group of people that have a lot of different styles. Then in terms of like non-competitive performances and show type things, I've had a number of opportunities around Western Australia and around the world to dance for and beside lots of incredible artists, musicians and dignitaries, I think you'd call them, like well-known like Lord Mayors and presidents and that kind of thing. So in 2010, our school was asked to perform in Kota Kinabalu in Malaysia, which was like an all expenses paid trip for, I can't remember how many of us, I think 16 of us to go over for 12 days for their 25th anniversary of being a tourist destination. So along with a whole bunch of other cultural dance groups, it involved street parades, theatre performances, and then at the very end of the 12 days we did a show for the Lord Mayor of the city, which at the time and still now is just such an incredible experience and something that I will always look back on and appreciate. And yeah, it was just very surreal. We were on the cover of their newspaper with the Lord Mayor. Yeah, it was just very cool. As well as that, I've performed in 3 amazing Broadway style shows with the Academy in America. So after Worlds for the last 3 years, I've come home and then gone back again to be able to perform in these shows. The first year I was the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz. The next year I was Mrs. Gloop in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and last year I was lucky enough to be Mary Poppins in their Mary Poppins show, which just took my love and knowledge of dancing and performing to a whole new level. And then from there, in October last year, I was offered the opportunity to be a part of A Taste of Ireland's A Celtic Christmas Western Australia tour, which again just confirmed my love of dancing for dancing itself and being able to perform and have fun, and not just for the competitive side of it, which is something that I will always be grateful for. I've always wanted to dance professionally since I was old enough to know about shows like Riverdance and Lord of the Dance, but over the years I've learned how important it is to do things at the right time and prioritise what it is that I want to do at that specific moment in time, rather than just kind of taking every opportunity that I'm given. So I have turned down a few chances to do some incredible things, but until I'm done competing, I have a time of the year where I'm training, leading up to like competitions and majors, and then I have my downtime where I'm still dancing, but I'm just not as in full-on training mode. So when this opportunity for A Taste of Ireland came up at the start of my downtime last year, I was absolutely thrilled, because I've always wanted to do it, but up until then it just hadn't been the right time. So I'm so glad that I was able to do it, and it was honestly one of the most incredible experiences I've had performing, as it just opened up this whole new world of dancing, which I didn't realise I loved so much. Like, I always knew that I wanted to do it, but until actually having done it, I wasn't sure that that's something I definitely wanted to commit to after I'd done competing. I think a lot of it had to do with being surrounded by a whole group of people that I had grown up dancing beside and competing against in WA, but in this setting, like in the show setting, I was able to just dance with them and have fun. So it taught me how to dance, show style, and how to perform, which I also find valuable for solos too. So I'm just so thankful for that opportunity again, and I can't wait to see what the future holds and any further opportunities that I might get to perform in shows like these. Then, as well as finishing my competitive dancing career and hopefully doing a few more shows and tours, I plan on getting my TCRG and teaching for both my school here and in America. I absolutely love teaching so much and setting an example for the younger kids and being a role model for them, so I can't wait for that chapter of my life too once I'm done performing and competing. At the minute, I'm still training for, right now for the state championships, which will hopefully be at the end of September, if everything goes well, as well as working as an occupational therapy assistant and for a settlement agent and studying online. So I do have a pretty busy schedule, but if being in lockdown taught me anything, it was definitely that I much rather be busy and have things to do than have nothing to do. Then to finish off, my advice to any dancers wishing to reach their goals and dreams both in shows and competitive dancing, I would say to first of all know what you want. So write down your goals and think about when and how you'll be able to achieve them. And remember that as you get older, dancing becomes more difficult physically, and there will be a time when you have to stop. So I think it's so important to take all the dancing opportunities that you can while you have them. Another bit of advice I would give is to just enjoy the whole process, because it's definitely not going to be easy, and if it is, I think you're doing something wrong, because training and things being hard are what make you a better dancer and what will push you to be a much better version of yourself and as a dancer and achieve the results and goals that you set for yourself. So this has been my journey to the stage. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to like and subscribe below for more A Taste of Ireland content in the future. Thanks for watching!